Hi, Chris. Welcome to Spot Check. Nice to see you again, sir.
Thank you, Sandro. How you been?
I've been good. How have been you? You've been
Not
okay?
too bad.
Okay.
Despite the depression that Arsenal is causing us, but I'm okay.
I mean, at least it's not as worse as what United is causing us,
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
All right. So, for our viewers, can you like formally introduce yourself and what do you do? Yeah.
Okay. Thanks,
Mm.
Sandro. It's great to be here. Hi, my name is Christopher Raj. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Shekinah PR, and I do quite a bit of national service. So I serve the Football Association of Malaysia as the Executive Board member. And I was the former Under-17 national team manager and the Deputy Chairman for the Presidential Task Force. And I also serve the Asian Football Confederation and FIFA as a media consultant. Yeah, I've been in this for the last 20 years in this industry of media and PR, and yeah, that's what I do. Yeah.
Okay. So, it's a well-known fact that you have been the national under 16 team manager, right?
Yeah.
And recently you stepped down.
Yeah.
Right. So I would like to ask you, how has things been for you since stepping down? And
Well,
do you still follow the team's progress, and
Of
or do you
course.
still advise them in any way?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was appointed as the under 17 or 16 national team manager in 2021 when we decided to um, have a more like a full-time manager working on this. Of course, in football there are two kind of managers. One that just goes through the normal administration process and they see the players at the airport and then they are done. And then you have another set of managers who are very deeply involved and who look into the players' welfare and what's happening in terms of the training and preparation. So 2021 I was appointed by then, of course, now Tan Sri Hamidin as the president, and our first stop was AMD because a lot of the players from AMD. And then, yeah, we moved on and
AMD stands for
Academy Mokhtar Dari in
Dahari.
Gambang.
Yep.
So for those viewers, AMD is where our national training center is. And we have about close to about 400 odd players. They come to AMD after selection process in all over Malaysia from PLD onwards. And they join AMD at age of 11 and they are there till they're 17. After 17, if they're good enough, they sign contract with respective clubs and they move on to play with teams like JDT, Selangor and the pro teams. For those who can make it, for those who don't make it, they play in the Amateur League or M3. Yes, I resigned when I came back, and that's because I actually, I think I told the media as well and FAM that if we don't qualify to the final rounds of AFC, I will step down and let others come on board and do a better job. Yeah.
Yeah. So technically, you're still following the team's progress, and are you still in touch with the players?
Of course, whether I'm in touch or not, the players are very much in touch with me.
Okay.
Alright. Because when you're dealing with the young players, Sandro, they look at you like I won't say like a father figure, but somebody like they can depend upon, and they send you daily messages and all that. Yeah, I watched the boys after coming back. I saw the boys playing in Piala Belia, Piala President. I congratulated both the teams that made to the finals. I spoke to the coaches, and it's nice. It's nice to see them doing well. But football is a game where you always judge for your success. I mean, when we qualified the last time in 2019 in the qualifiers after beating Palestine, UAE, Indonesia, nobody ever thought we'll qualify. Actually, nobody gave us a chance.
Okay.
But when it happened, people were surprised that the team qualified to the final rounds. And this time around, we were just not good enough, and that's why I stepped down.
So you were saying that the players look up to you and things like that, right?
Yep.
They come up to you for advices and things like that. So you're more like Sir Alex Ferguson for them, lah. Can.
No, that's a bad word, huh? I would prefer it's Arsene Wenger.
Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, I don't want to be associated anywhere. United, no. I mean, jokes aside, but
Yeah.
not like that, because a lot of the players I have,
Right.
not only the parents, not only the players, I'm also very close to the parents.
Parents. All right.
Parents, so they're in touch with me. Even the batch that graduated,
Yeah.
and anytime they need any assistance,
Yeah.
I'm there to help them. And a lot of these boys come from the B20 and B40 category.
Okay.
So you don't find young players from T15 or T20.
Okay.
Generally, our footballers are from B20, B40 community,
All right.
and some of them come from very, very poor family.
Okay.
So there's a lot of financial support that is needed,
Okay.
and encouragement and all that, because these players, Sandro, once the players make it to AMD, they are the hope of the family. Don't talk about the country, lah. Yeah, family. You come from a family of sibling of 4. Parents cry at the airport. Please make sure my son makes it, because they are hoping that he will sign a contract with Selangor or JDT, and that 2005 that he earns able to support the family, pay the bills. So at a very young age, they're already coming into the system with lots of pressure, right? So this is where we, at least I come in and say, okay, how we can support you and help you, assist you, make sure that your equipments are provided, you get some financial assistance. Over the last couple of years, I also referred some players to certain yayasan for they get some allowances, right? At least to support the family.
All right.
Yeah, so those are the things that we do.
All right. So let's talk about your role when you were the manager, right? So during your time, you have worked with several established coaches, all right? Like, Osmera, Omaro, recently with JV, Coach Zavi. We have worked with 2 technical directors for the under-17, which is Saad. Wait, let me pronounce his name properly. Saad Ichalal.
Saad Ishlane.
Saad Ishlane.
Oscar.
And also Oscar.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask you, can you describe, can you summarize, your experience with them? Did you get what you wanted from them, or vice versa?
I think more than whether I got what I wanted, I think it's more like they gave their best, and they showed that dedication and commitment. Of course, I think, Sandro, that Malaysian football is always caught between these boys coming from AMD and boys coming from certain pro clubs. We are always in this dilemma. And
Such
at that
as
time,
JDT?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And when I was appointed as a manager at that time, the relationship between FAM and AMD was not very good, because they had this KPM issues and so many issues is going around. So I thought, okay, now how do we resolve this? The first approach is, and that's probably one of my character, that I went on to see Saad. I went to AMD. I wanted to see them and see where are we having issues, where are the problems, and how can we work as a team. Of course, there was one set of coaches who said, hey, everybody must come from AMD, and then you had another set of coaches say, no, you must have mix of players. But I still remember at the time when I was appointed, we were only 5 months or 6 months in time period to prepare the team for the qualifiers for AFF first. And so I met up with Saad, and it's out there in Sosmed. I met Saad a couple of times. I used to go every week to Gambang. Yeah, I think I've gone to Gambang maybe about 90 or 100 times in my period of 3 years.
Wow.
Or every week to see the boys playing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that you need to be there to see what's happening.
Yeah.
You can't see it from the live streaming or whatever.
Yep.
So Saad was, very experienced. Saad and Backing were the 2 technical directors were there at that time. And they already set a system place, structure in place. And Osmera Omaro was groomed by Saad, so the formation of playing, the way they played the game, the things that they look at was a bit of the European style, but looking at Malaysian ability as well. And that is how. So Saad journeyed with us. To be fair, Saad and Backing was with us in AFF. Of course, we lost in AFF. Then people thought, hey, this team is gone, But when we beat UAE 3-2, beat Palestine, and beat home team 5-1 in Indonesia, beating Indonesia 5-1, and then qualifying as the group champions to the final round. They said, hey, these boys are good. But Saad was with us. So Saad and Backing really played a role. Now, if you remember, after Saad and Backing were terminated, or their contracts were not renewed by MSN,
Okay.
for 2.5 years, there was no technical director in AMD.
Mm.
No, so for me personally, I think that was how do you say, a failing point.
Failing
You
point.
know, these young coaches, they need a technical director to guide them, to show them the way. For 2.5 years, MSN, KBS, and they were going back and forth, looking at the candidates and whatever, and people they interviewed didn't come on board. And then finally, in 2023, last year,
Last
Oscar
year,
came on board,
Oscar came
or he
on
came
board.
this year.
Yeah.
So I never really worked very closely with Oscar, because then Scott, our technical director, deals with him. So one part of the batch done, then we move forward to this new batch. This new batch, I was told that Javi was available. When I was working in the Asian Cup in Qatar for AFC, the president told me that Javi Jorda is available, and why don't you take a look at him? He's willing to give his time for the national team. So I said, okay, the last round we didn't make it to the final rounds. Perhaps now with mixture of players both from AMD, Terengganu, Perlis, Sekolah Sukan Negeri, yeah, we have a combined team, and let's see what can happen. Get some coaches from JDT and also AMD, put them together, and that's how Javi came on board. So Javi's appointment, the assistant coaches, and then we had 2 coaches from AMD or 3-4 coaches from AMD. We had a combined team. Of course, majority of the players came from AMD because the best, so-called the best players are there, and we have to accept the fact the best of Malaysia is there.
Yeah, even
And 9 players,
like Arif Aiman and
Arif,
all,
and 9
Lokman
players
Hakim,
are
yeah,
from
came
JDT, right?
Yeah.
But the whole idea is not to just have 30 players, right? We wanted to have a bigger pool of players. So Javi came up with the idea that we will scout. So they scouted for 185 players who are registered in the database. From the 185, after 2 phases of training phases, centralized camp in Gambang, we came down to 50. Now that 50, we had boys from Perlis, from Kelantan, from Terengganu, Sekolah Sukan Negeri Kedah, Shah Alam, AMD, JDT. From that, we came down to 30 players to be registered. And those are the 30 boys who played in the AFC qualifiers.
So technically, I mean, they've been very influential during your tenure there, right? As a
No,
manager.
I think, yeah, I mean, the
Yeah.
coaches, I cannot complain about the coaches, whatever
Okay.
people might say.
Alright.
But in my opinion, they gave their best.
All right. So you have been in the role for a couple of years.
4
right?
years.
4 years. I mean, 4 years. Sorry. So do you have any regrets, or do you have things like you feel like you could have been given more time to improve on certain things, any of your plans that you feel that if you had more time, you could have executed it?
Well, I think first thing first that the president didn't want to accept my resignation.
Okay.
He wanted me to continue. But I always feel that, in I mean, I guess in life, when you have given your best, you will know. And it's a time for you to step aside. I mean, I've given lots of my time. I've given, so much so sometimes the family time is affected. People don't realize. I mean, every Friday going from KL to Gambang, watching the boys, staying in a shop lot hotel in Gambang. I don't know if you've been to Gambang. There's no hotels in Gambang, so you stay in a shop lot,
Yeah.
right, above some coffee shop, right? Watch the boys playing on Saturday, and then you come back Saturday. I mean, your weekends are gone. Can you imagine? 4 years of my weekends were just with this young bunch of players, and then not forgetting traveling for friendly matches. And sometimes the boys play in Johor, they play in Kelantan. I travel with them. Not forgetting 1 month of training in Doha, 45 days in Qatar during Ramadan last year, right? They don't have parents there with them. You are like a parent, you look into their needs, breaking fast together. So there are a lot of emotion and hard work, Sandro, goes into it. And after the qualifiers, I told myself, look, maybe this is the best time for me to move away, and I've done my best, and let another person take up the role, and hopefully he has better success than me. So no regrets, no regrets at all, because I know deep within my heart that I've given the best.
But what do you think went wrong? Because your team had some of the best players, of course, from JDT, from AMD, and things like that. Why the team could not live up to the expectations?
We're not good enough.
Mm.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
You're not good enough. And you have to admit that we are not good enough. And I will bravely say that our boys, they are good enough to be champions in Malaysia. Right? They'll be good in Piala Belia, Piala President. But you want to go to AFC and you want to play the likes of Japan, Iran, Saudi, Korea. Right? And we need to play more number of matches just by playing 25. Piala Belia, total number of games, 25, 30 games. Max, 25. You know, a Japanese player who's 15 years old or 16, by the time he comes and plays in the AFC qualifiers, he would have played minimum 85 matches.
Oh, wow. That's crazy, eh?
85 games.
Yeah.
Now, that's a short of 65 games. No, when you're short of games, you're talking about contact time with the ball, your technique, your tactical formation, your awareness of the game, and whole of coaching methodology goes into it. Recovery, the sports science aspects of it. And we're just not good enough. And I will say we're not good enough. And there's a lot of work that AMD has to do. Unfortunately, everybody is hoping that AMD and JDT will produce. We can't go on that. You need Kuala Lumpur, you need Selangor. Okay, Selangor is doing great now with their Selangor,
Okay,
JDT and
yeah.
AMD, but where are the teams from Perlis?
Yes.
You know,
okay.
we had one player from Perlis. If you go back into history of Malaysian football, Perlis at one time
Used to be a
had
powerhouse.
6-7 players playing for national team.
Yep.
There are no players from Penang.
Yeah.
There are no players from Kedah.
Yeah.
Players from Kelantan, Terengganu, Sabah, Sarawak. How? So, the only way for you to have a good youth team is you need to have under 17 minimum 5,000 boys playing at that level.
Mm.
So you have better eye view. You can scope down to the best talented player and bring them on board. Now the problem with Piala Belia or Piala President is we only have 500 or 600 boys playing.
Okay, that's
And,
not many, yeah?
Not many. And when you call the boys in for training, literally the database
Mm.
shows you who has played the matches, who has not played,
Okay.
who has the match time, who doesn't have the match time.
Mm.
And that's why one of the things about Javi, he has the database of all the players. So if you want a central back, he knows where this boy is
Okay.
because they've done the scouting.
All right.
And that also saves us time.
All right.
So
So moving on, do you think that, because the FAM technical director, Scott O'Donnell, has always been advocating that, in order for our under-17 team to become better, we need to have more under-15, under-16
16.
leagues and things like that, right? And recently when I last met him, he told me that the FAM ESCO members, the board, they have agreed to his proposal and now they are working on establishing the league, right? So moving forward, do you think that is a good sign for the under-17 team?
under 15, under 16 league should have done 15 years ago. This is not new. You go back, I tell you, when I was working in FAM,
Yeah.
in year 2000, we had two tournaments, 15 and 16. One was Piala Coca-Cola Belia and one was Piala Nike. Piala Nike, where your players like Akmal Rizal
Yeah.
and Hadi Jafi and all these guys came from that system.
Yeah.
Over the period of time, change of policy because AFC changed the age group, they changed the formation again, the system again.
Okay.
Now that the World Cup is going to happen every year,
Yeah.
right, from 2025, so we need to change the league structure again. So that is why the under 15, under 16 has to happen. But in order that under 15, under 16 has to happen is, you need more number of teams. If you're going to have the same number of teams playing, you're going to have the same result.
Mm.
You need to have 25 to 30 clubs. Japan, in Japanese J3, J4, the 15-year-olds, they have 25 to 40 teams playing at school level. So you need enough number of clubs playing at the under 15, under 16 so that the coaches will have the opportunity to scout for the players.
Okay.
But, and this is what I told Scott, if you have the same number of teams, yes, you increase the number of matches, but the players are the same.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is a great idea. And that's why we support it, and hopefully next year they can implement it.
All right. So, on a serious note, how long do you think that the under-17 team will be able to reach the
To play in
level
the World
of
Cup.
to play in the World Cup or even reach the standards of the Asian powerhouses, lah? In your opinion, yeah.
um, being involved in Asian football for almost 10, 15 years, I can tell you right now, the standards of other countries have tremendously improved, right?
Okay.
You saw the DPR Korea women winning the FIFA Women's World Cup
Yep.
under
Yep.
17, back to back,
Yep.
double hat trick. So, um, for us to be in the World Cup or even top 8 in AFC to qualify for the under 17 World Cup, we need to have at least a 5-year strategic plan.
Okay.
What does that mean? It means the boys are playing competitive matches. When I say competitive, Sandro, it's not about playing Selangor versus JDT or Kelantan versus Terengganu. It's about playing teams like Japan, playing clubs in Korea, being in Europe for 2-3 months.
Okay.
This kind of training stints. That's what Indonesia is doing.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why they're doing well.
And also,
know?
there's also one of the reasons why they are sending their under 22 team to play
Yeah.
in the AFF this year.
When
Yeah.
under 17 Indonesia went to Italy,
Yep.
they played teams like Spain, France, in the in La Libra summer camp, and they played good teams, and that helps a lot. Playing Sweden, Switzerland, right? So you got to play competitive matches. So I think if we have good strategic plan for the next 5 years, I think maybe another 5 years or so, we should be able to play at least in the top 8 of AFC.
All right.
Once you qualify for the top 8, then your chances of playing in the World Cup is brighter.
So, well, the FM Congress will be happening next year. All right. And you will be contesting as well.
I'm not sure. Do you think I should contest?
I think you should.
You took a while to answer that. That means you're not sure.
I think you should because
No,
I
I'm
mean,
just kidding.
based on experience
Nah,
and things like
I'm not
that,
sure.
And
I'm not
all
sure.
that.
I mean, I've not decided.
But
I'm not thinking about it.
let's say if you happen to contest, all right. Personally, because you have been, personally, I just want to ask you, you have been in this in FM for
That's
many years, right? So, personally, do you think that what are the areas that you should improve if you happen to get another term in office?
Well, it's been a great journey with Tan Sri Hamidin. A fantastic president. Whatever people may say, I think his leadership, his hard work, and what he has done for FAM, it's tough for someone else also to do it, because today, out of 47 Asian countries, almost 15 countries have full-time president, and a lot of the strategy, I won't say strategy, a lot of the direction and objectives are set by the president's office. So we have a presidential task force.
Okay.
So once the president sets so we have the F30 where it talks about national team qualification, supporting the state FAs, development of member association, development of women's football. You can see now women's football very aggressive. It was part of all that F30 plan that we had. We have a women's league. Now we want to launch women's futsal. We want to launch futsal for under 19 and girls under 19. The Liga Super Harimau. So a lot of all this vision, all the direction comes from the president. We, as the committee members or the board members, we execute that.
Okay.
All right. Of course, he will ask for our opinion. Areas that, of course, one of the areas I would love to work on is still the youth development, because I think there's so much of work to be done with the community football. We have really not grown the community football, working with different communities. I would love to work with the Orang Asli boys, because I know there's a great potential in the Orang Asli players. We just have not explored it because the infra Orang Asli, and when I did the program in Pahang for the Botas, who became the Orang Asli boys who travel almost 20 km to play football, walking to school and etc.
That was in Lemoy, right?
Yes, in Lemoy, SK
alright.
Lemoy, right?
SK Lemoy, yeah.
So then they went on to become MSSM champions in Kuantan. I'm sure, like those boys, we have set of community boys who are in the Orang Asli, and it'd be great to have even a Liga Orang Asli, or and get them to play, and these are some of the initiatives that we can actually do to expand the the database.
So technically, if you happen to get a term in the office, you would like to,
Explore those things.
explore those in the youth
And definitely, I
development
don't
side.
want to be the chairman of media. I think ADS is good enough.
So you want to try a different role, which is the
maybe
youth
a different
development
role.
side,
Yeah.
lah.
Women's
Alright.
football, maybe.
All right. I mean, that would be good because
Less
apparently,
stress.
I mean, that's a good choice. You know why? Because the number of teams are quite less, for the league and all.
The league, yeah, but I think now with the Liga Wanita Wanita Negara and all that, I think there is quite a good improvement they have made. I think the chairperson YB Suraya has really worked hard on this, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see what they're doing. As you know, the national team goes to Saudi, and all this is part of the president's plan. To go and train in Saudi for 2-3 weeks. All this is because of his FIFA network, and that team can get attachment. So that's great for them.
All right, and some more. I mean, for the viewers, we have to let them know that the women's national team's FIFA ranking is higher than our men's team, lah.
Yeah, of course.
It's a well-known fact, lah.
Yeah.
So next, I would like. Okay, you're also a board member of the Malaysian Football League.
MFL.
All right. So the new CEO Giorgio just came on board. All right. So this salary issues in Malaysian football has been plugging the league for a very long time, lah. Let's say, I would say, for the past more than 5 years. All right. Let's put it that way. So with him coming on board and with him coming up with new ideas, like introducing few initiatives. So, like for example, salary caps and things like that. Do you think by next season we can see a change in this issue that has been plugging the league for years?
So salary issues with the pro clubs is an issue been there for the last 10 years. And why? Because clubs want to spend more than they can earn. And Jojo will not be able to solve it because these issues are issues related to way the club runs. And we always advocate to the clubs, if your budget for the year is 12 million ringgit, you need to make sure that that 12 million ringgit is in your kitty, or at least half of it, before you do your budgeting, right? In most cases, the pro clubs, except for the top 4 or 5, it's always the opposite. They do the budget, sign the players, and then look for the money.
So this is the root of the problem, lah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for example, if your budget per year running the club is, let's say, capped at 12 million ringgit, would you sign a striker for 20,000 US?
No way.
Right? I mean, you have to spend based on what you are able to and what your budgets allow. Right? And you go back, right? If you earn a salary of 3,000 ringgit, you will not qualify to buy a house that's 1 million ringgit. The bank gives you a loan based on what you have. And same in football. And the issue with a lot of these pro clubs are, they want to get the players and they say, oh, we want to fight JDT. You cannot fight JDT. You cannot fight Selangor. Right? These are big boys with bigger budgets, not only preparing for the local league. Now they're looking at Asian Champions League 1, ACL. The game has changed. So you need to know where you want to finish in the league. Okay, I want to finish number 5 or number 6. But more importantly is how you manage your finances. A lot of these clubs don't even pay EPF. And they don't realize that if you don't pay EPF, it is accrued interest. Right? You need to pay your EPF, you need to pay your taxes every month. So they try to find ways and measures to cut corners, and then they get caught. And the league is this year the league is longer. And eventually because of the new ACL format and etc. So it's going to be very challenging. And personally, I don't think this problem can be resolved because the owners are on the club. They have to be responsible. Right? If you can, some people say, oh, MFL put in 9 foreign players rule. Hey, the rule is there. We never ask you to sign 9 players.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just give them an option.
That option works for all clubs in Asia. It is not only for Malaysia. Right? If you can only sign 1 player, just sign the player lah. 1 player. Right, but very strange. You look at some clubs, they sign 2 players foreigners in January, and then they terminate them in April. Then the case goes to FIFA. They pay the fine, termination of contract. Then they sign another player in June. It's bogus lah. It's just doesn't make sense to me how they manage it.
Pening kepala lah. Like, so indirectly, I mean, technically.
So to answer whether Jojo can solve it, he
Yeah.
can't solve it
Yeah.
because he's not running the club. But of course, MFL will then put in all the regulations. It's already there.
Yeah.
The league regulations are there. The policies are there. The rules are there. It's for them to follow and act accordingly. Otherwise, what happened to some clubs with EPF not being paid, taxes not paid, we deduct points and they are punished via fine. Yeah.
Yeah, technically kalau MFL, like for example, they allow them to sign 9 foreign players. Kalau you can't afford, sign satu, lagi 8 local lah, kan? Lebih kurang macam tu lah.
It's up to the clubs, Sandro, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have the budget, you should not even sign the foreign players.
Exactly. Yeah.
Look at Kuching City. It's one of the most profitable clubs in the league. They have the budget, they spend within the budget. And do you know last year, Kuching City FC was the only football club that made profit.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Aside from the top 4?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because they manage their budgets well. They get grant from state government, but it's very tight control, very tight. And their whole objective is not to get demoted. That's it. So if Kuching City FC can do it, I don't see why other clubs will not be able to do it.
Does the governing body, this MFL, like, do they do their part in educating the clubs on how
course.
they should manage their
Yes,
finances?
every year before the league starts,
Yeah.
the club licensing team goes across. They have briefing to the CEOs. They have briefings for all the management staff, and then the regulation is again explained, the commitments of the club, and club licensing goes through all the documents submission before the club actually is given license to play in the league.
But some of the clubs are still the gale lah, again. That one.
They,
All right. So, Chris, now we move to the last segment. All right.
Sure.
You are a well-known sports analyst. All right. You appear to be on few shows, and things like that. So I would just like to ask you about this year's budget lah.
sports budget.
Sports budget lah. But I will go something closer to home.
Okay.
FAM. So as a member in FAM and also as an analyst, do you think it's wajar for FAM to get like 15 million allocation from this year's budget? Because fans are not happy with it. Netizens are not happy with it. They feel that the football team doesn't deserve that much of allocation. All right. But in total, I believe that they have gotten up to 15 plus 5
20.
20. All right. So what's your comment on that?
Like I said, Sandro, you are always you are judged by your success, right? And then when your national team doesn't perform or doesn't do well, people criticize why the government taxpayers' money given. A lot of people texted me and said, you guys don't deserve it, right? And football being generally the number one sport in the country. Now I'll give you an example. I think this is exclusive to Scoop lah.
All right.
I'll give you an exclusive for this.
Terima kasih.
Yes. When Coach Kim Pangun,
Okay.
we were playing in the AFC qualifiers against Kyrgyzstan. You remember?
Okay.
We went to play in Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah.
So when the recce team that went to Kyrgyzstan, the 2 staff from national team department, we always send a recce team to go and look at the hotel, the training facility. That's how the team goes out. They come back, they brief the head coach. Coach, this is the hotel, this is the food, this. The dietary plan, everything is submitted wherever we go and all that. Now when they came back, the journey from Kuala Lumpur to Kyrgyzstan with all the stopover was 45 hours.
Okay.
Waiting period, connecting flight, all right? When the team came back and told Coach Kim Pangun about this, he freaked out. Because, qualifiers of World Cup, you travel, you train, you main, next day game, you balik. Right? You're not there for 2-3 days training time. You go, you train 2-3 days, play the game, and you fly back. When we looked at the fixture, there is no way we could take 37 people or 40 odd people with a technical team, kit man, with, when the national team travels, we travel close to about 95 kg of equipment. Mats, equipments, trunks, the works, right? How to check in, check out in the airport with 40 people, right? Are the boys going to sleep in the airport waiting for transit? So what is the option? Even though Malaysian Airline is FM sponsor, Malaysian Airline doesn't fly to Kyrgyzstan.
Okay. All right.
Okay?
Yep.
Tan Sri Hamidin
Yeah.
made a decision to charter an aircraft. Okay?
Okay.
So we chartered an aircraft with MAS. We flew the players Kuala Lumpur to Kyrgyzstan direct. We stopped in Delhi for fueling. 2 hours in Delhi airport. We sat in the plane, couldn't come out. We flew to Kyrgyzstan. Total journey hour was 16 hours. Now, that charter cost us millions.
Oh wow. Roughly,
Because-
roughly how much?
Maybe about 2.5, 2.8 million ringgit.
Okay. All right.
Now, I come back to that question again.
Mm.
When two double spare, Aaron and Soyui travel, business class, is only 40,000 ringgit.
Mm.
Does badminton team travel with 37 players? 37 coaches? No.
Mm.
2 players on business class to Amsterdam, maybe 50,000 ringgit. Compared to us who spend 2.65 million. Now, some people might say, tak apalah, ambil transit, tidur dekat airport. Oh, when the players are sleeping in the airport, that picture is viral. FM tak jaga pemain. FM tak peduli pemain. Tidur dekat airport, apa punya pengurusan? You maki hamun kita to the max. So, if you want to find fault, right, both ways of ends you get caught. But this president made that decision because Coach Kim Panggun demanded it. Coach Kim wanted it. Did we think, oh, where are we going to find the money? Okay, Coach Kim wants it. We have to qualify. We win a stage, Sandro, we had to beat Kyrgyzstan to keep our hopes alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So, what else you want? Charter aircraft, 2.8 million ringgit. Travel, 40 packs. Stop in Delhi fueling. And then the aircraft droppers went back to Delhi, came back to pick us up. Now, if you compare that budget, alright, what the government has given, FM is very appreciative. We are thankful taxpayers' money. But you cannot compare us to a sport that only has 2-3 players travelling for a tournament. You take the entire badminton team and put them on the business class. You won't spend 2.85 million per game. Per game. Right? Then again, you come back, yeah, but you're not successful. Agreed. So, the question I would to ask, am I willing to put players like Arif Aiman, all these Malaysian footballers, 48 hours wait in Istanbul airport for the transit to Kyrgyzstan with a 95 kg of equipments waiting? So, you're always caught. Of course, like now, Malaysian team, I'm going to Hyderabad tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm flying Air Asia, and
For
team
the-
is flying for the match.
Yeah.
Because Malaysia flies to India, so we can fly with MAS. But destinations, we end up in Uzbekistan, we play Tajikistan, or we play Mongolia. Or, so this kind of teams where there are no flights available, we have to charter aircraft. And Coach Kim Panggun and the coaches, they didn't come cheap. They didn't come cheap. And President made sure. You see, the thing is, like I said, people easily forget, when we qualified for the Asian Cup in Qatar, all this never came up. All the money spent by FAM was well received. Correct?
Yeah.
Because we didn't spend that money, we didn't bring Kim Panggun, we didn't bring the sports scientists, we didn't bring the goalkeeper coach, the entire package from Korea. We never had Pau Mati, we never put the team, national team checks into centralized training, stay in top hotels in the country. Is nothing less than 1 million to 700,000 to 1 million for 2 weeks.
Oh wow, that's a lot of money.
You're talking a packs of 40 people, right? And we don't want to be accused, the coaches to blame FM say, no, I wanted 23 players. FM say, tak ada budget, you ambil 18. That's not fair to the coach. We have to give the coach what he wants. Right? So, I give an example, yeah? Korea FA. Under 23.
Mm.
Under 23. Under 23. Preparing for World Cup qualifiers. You know what is their budget?
No idea.
4 million US.
Oh wow.
Korea under 23, 4 million US.
4 million US, That's about...
Japan under 17, preparation to the World Cup qualifiers,
Mm.
2.2 million US.
Wow.
Under 17, no, 2 million US.
Mm.
When the Japanese team comes to the World Cup, FIFA only pays for certain amount, let's say pay for 40. Japan will come with 80.
Mm.
The remaining 45 or 50 is paid by Japan FA.
Mm.
They have their own surgeons, they bring their chef. I mean, you want to grow, right? You want to move forward.
But sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. Japan, Korea. I mean, you brought in Japan and Korea into the picture, right? Do they also rely on the government fundings for their one?
No, because they
Oh.
might not get government funding, but
Yeah.
you must understand, because of the Japan football structure,
Mm.
all companies that sponsors the national team,
Mm.
they get 100% tax exemption.
Mm.
So if you spend 5 million US, you get a tax exempted 5 million, and that is
Mm.
passed and endorsed in parliament.
Mm.
And that bill was passed in 1998.
Mm.
That is why you have Kawasaki, Yokohama Marinos, named after all the,
Mm.
so they get 100%. So the ecosystem is different.
Mm.
And we are a very small population.
Mm.
I understand the sentiment that people say, you tak layak dapat lah.
Mm.
Agreed. Maybe because we are ranked 132.
132, yeah.
You are
133 now.
133.
Actually. Yeah.
Okay, so you are judged by your success. But
yeah.
then again, how do we deal with this kind of issues?
Yeah.
Right? And when you're 132, 133, it is so hard on the president to get the sponsors on board.
Okay.
It's not easy.
Mm.
It's not easy.
Mm.
No, I mean, if you are a CEO of a public listed company and I come to you, I want $5 million from you, you'll ask me 500 questions.
I will look at your ROI,
Exactly.
I'll look at other stuff.
And you say you are ranked 133, why should I give you
Yeah.
5 million ringgit?
Mm.
If you're ranked 10 or 20 or 50 in the world, yes, makes your life easier, right? So in that sense, we are always caught in dual situation. We understand it's taxpayers' money, and that is why now with TMJ coming on board, he personally looking at that national team department is something that we look forward to, because he has transformed Johor and he is going to head the national team. The new national team look. So I guess with all that support and assistance, hopefully things gets better.
Okay, but as a whole, are you happy with the high amount of budget allocated for sports this year?
Of course,
230 million.
I think it's a good budget. Of course, you got the budgets for high performance, RTG, the various sports. Please don't get me wrong. Badminton deserves it. Cycling deserves it. All the sports that brings glory and fame to the country, they truly deserve the budget. And of course, they get a lot of support system. There's so many hidden costs that we don't know. There's support from ISN. They stay in MSN. We can't stay in FM. You expect us to put Arif Aiman or top stars in FM dormitory?
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Doesn't work that way. Yeah.
It's very difficult to compare. But I think the budget works well for sports generally. And what I hope to see is the tax exemption improves.
Okay. So
we
which
need to have a
sport
better tax exemption for the sports.
which
policy.
sport do you think deserves more allocation this time?
Which
From your
sport?
opinion, yeah. Like you can name me about three sports.
I mean, obviously, badminton is the sport that performs.
Yeah.
They are there literally in the finals or they're in the Olympics. You can't deny the fact. Larger group of community plays that game. So, cycling, yes, because of the investment they do in all the cyclists. I would like to see maybe, swimming, right? Especially diving.
Diving.
I think diving deserves a good budget, especially with, we had great divers coming, Pandalela, Brian Lincoln Lomas, No Dabita. All these people are, legends of the game. And we need to have more people like them, perhaps invest in the infra that's available in Sabah, Sarawak, and get the divers on board. It'll be nice to see hockey, being at one time ranked 9-10 in the world.
Yeah.
They're putting a lot of effort. I think now with all the assistance, I guess they will get there as well.
But recently, YB Hannah said that a large portion of the budget is going to go to football and hockey. So I'm not sure how much hockey is going to get, But do you think that more emphasis should be given on melahirkan bakat-bakat muda and pelapis punya athletes?
You ask me, saya rasa that entire budget, right? They should have more than working with NSAs, right? They should work with school sports, KPM, because sports in school is neglected. And if you don't improve sekolah sukan, you tak improve sekolah sukan negeri, you tak buat akar umbi program pembangunan belia, sports will suffer. Because you're not going to get the champions, the top their pyramid. They're going to come from schools. They're going to come from the district. They're going to come from MSSM. So you need to improve the facility, the policy in school sport. They have to work very closely with Kementerian Pelajaran Malaysia, KPM, and look at MSSM. MSSM format has not been revamped for 30 years. Still the same format. Still the same way they're doing things. And you want to create world champions. How does that happen? It won't happen.
All right. So thank you, Mr. Chris, for joining us.
Thank you, Sandro.
I know
Thank you
it was
for this
great.
time.
Yeah, it was great talking to you.
Hope it
And
was,
thanks for all your
most
really
welcome.
good insights. So
Most welcome.
see you soon.
Pleasure.
All right. Thank you.